Good day, dear listener, and welcome to the Tamrocks Storyteller, brought to you by Tamrockstreasures.com. Today, we continue with Episode 2 of At Your Command. Princess Yasmin simply could not decide what to wear. Though she literally had more clothes than anyone in the kingdom, the size of her wardrobe chambers had in fact required an addition to her wing of the palace. But I digress, dear listener. The royal banquet would begin in less than an hour. Yasmin stood looking at her reflection in the mirror, holding up a bevy of opulent gowns. Another banquet, another suitor. So what was one to wear when facing what would likely be her 6th refusal? Oh, the decision was simply not to be borne. In a moment of frustration, Yasmin dismissed her ladies-in-waiting and collapsed in an indelicate heap onto the nearest chaise lounge. As she sank into its velvety embrace, the princess closed her eyes. A moment of meditation, that would certainly help. Yasmin breathed deeply and stilled her mind. She breathed deeply again and followed that breath with her awareness into the center of her being, where she felt her energy centers open to allow the light. And then the thoughts started creeping in. And before she knew it, Yasmin's quiet meditation had given way to a fitful dream, and the princess was asleep. Yasmin was wading upstream in the dreamscape of her mind, the current strong and the water cold. It was a struggle to remain on her feet, and in her dream, she was naked. Not a stitch of clothing in sight. Sigh, her lithe body taut with exertion. And then Yasmin stubbed her toe on a large stone beneath the surface. Focusing her attention on the water, she saw a flash of sparkling light. She reached down into the cold water and pulled up the stone, only it wasn't a stone at all. It was a heavy container with some sort of carvings that looked like a ribbon. The princess removed the lid, and inside she was surprised to see what looked to be a very large and opulent pendant. The serene face at its center, which Yasmin recognized from her temple studies, was Kuan Yin, the ancient Chinese goddess of healing and compassion. She took the pendant from the box and held it gracefully in her palm. And in that moment, the eyes of the pendant opened, and the lips began to form a word. Captivated, Yasmin just knew that that word, that holy word, would be the answer to all of the questions of her heart. "Please, speak," she heard herself beseech. "Oh, what would you have me hear, great goddess?" "I would have you hear that your father calls for you." A severe shove, and Yasmin is brought immediately back up through the layers of consciousness to the present moment. Yasmin blinked her eyes as her stepmother came swiftly into focus. "The banquet has already begun, and in addition to the king, the most virile man in the kingdom is awaiting your presence. And here you sleep." "Stupid girl, you do not deserve such a man. Now get dressed. It's about time you were betrothed." Yasmin watched as her stepmother exited the wardrobe chamber in a flourish of indignation. But all the princess could think about was that pendant. Oh, if she could only hold it in her hand once again. And yet now, there was a much more pressing problem. She really had to figure out what to wear. Thank you, dear listener, for tuning into this week's episode of At Your Command. And to see this one-of-a-kind magnificent pendant in real life, visit Tamrockstreasures.com or click the link below. And stay tuned next week for more Tamrocks Storyteller, as you have a VIP invitation to attend the royal banquet.